Halloween Kills is officially rotten.
Everybody's a suspect!
Coming to get you, Bobber.
Now, before you jump down my throat, let's step back a little bit. I'm not saying that it's rotten. I'm saying that the score on Rotten Tomatoes, as it stands, is at 50%. And that's only with 14 critic reviews. So I'm going to get into these reviews because I've had to look at some of them on Twitter, etc. And it seems like some of these critics either have something against Halloween movies, sequels, or even just horror movies in general. So the score itself at the moment, it doesn't really paint the perfect picture of what Halloween Kills is going to be like, because there's some people who might like a movie like that, some people that don't like a movie like that. Like, I did read someone saying there's too much gore in it. Yeah, of course. Or there's too many kills in it. Yeah, of course. It's called Halloween Kills. It's a horror movie. There's going to be blood. There's going to be gore. You don't have to have all that for a horror movie, but sometimes you have it. And if it's in, if the context is there and if there's a reason for it, then accept it. Again, it's a horror movie. So we're going to go through some of the critics' reviews. Now, this is something that I don't like. Before I get into the critics' reviews, if you're going to be a critic, you're going to have to accept all genres. You can't be snooty. Now, I have read a few, not on this page yet, but I have read a few critics that shouldn't really be critics. I'm not saying I'm a critic, I'm not saying I'm a professional, but if I'm going to professionally critique a movie and future movies of all genres, I'm going to have to accept them all. I don't really like dramas, but if I'm going to professionally critique a movie, I'm going to watch it. Whether I like it or not, I'm going to have to critique it in a professional manner. If I don't like a horror movie, and I'm not a horror movie fan, I'm going to have to watch it. If there's blood and gore in it, I'm not going to go, oh, I don't like gore, oh, that means this movie's terrible. No, I might not like gore, but if the gore is necessary for that part of the movie, then I'm going to have to give it a big fat tick. Anyway, sorry, I'm rambling on. Let's go into the Rotten scores, or I'll go through quite a few of them. There's only 14, so why not? Why not go through all the 14 that are there just now? So James Mottram from the South China Morning Post, he's actually given it a good score. He said, in the end, it's a story about how violence begets violence. Though whether anyone will buy this amongst the grisly bloodletting is another matter. So he gave it a good score. He gave it 3 out of 5. If there is anything that's got spoilers in it, I'm not sure there is. I won't read it out. So Nicholas Bell from ionacinema.com, he's given it 2.5 out of 5. He's gave it a rotten score. He said, if the last installment gave us something thoughtful, subtext on grief, if the last installment gave us some thoughtful subtext on grief and trauma, all the characters in this sequel across the board feel extremely futile. I mean, that's probably, if that's the way he saw the movie, that's a fair assessment as to why you would give it a rotten score. He hasn't said anything silly, so we'll accept that one. Savina Pikova from Awards Watch gave it a B, which is a good score. She said, well, again, this is just the small part of it. You know, there's a full review. I'm only going to read the small part. She's wrote, enlarging the more private generational pain into sociological phenomenon for the whole town seems a viable device to keep the story growing. That's good. She gave it a good review, and she sounds like she's smart, so I'm not going to even read the full reviews here for any of them, because I don't know if you're allowed to put spoilers on them. Next up, we've got Jessica Klang from The Playlist. She's a top critic, but she gave it a C and a bad review. She said, the writers strayed dangerously close to getting rid of the one relationship of any substance at all, the symbiotic link between Laurie Strode and her eternal faceless nemesis. Of all the things Halloween Kills had to kill, why that? Now, I can understand her reasoning for it, but she's completely lost in terms of where this story's taking place. There is no symbiotic link between Laurie Strode and Michael Myers. There's nothing between the two of them other than what happened on the events of 1978. So yes, they removed that because that's part of the storyline. So I feel that Jessica Klang from The Playlist, top critic, knows nothing about the Halloween franchise, at least watch the movies before you watch this one and critique it. Watch Halloween, watch 2018's Halloween, and then watch this. If you're a critic, you will know that's what you have to do. But Jessica, you have failed. Next up we've got, is it Philip Desemlin from Time Out? He's another top critic. He gave it 1 out of 5. Wow. He said, it all feels so rote and old school, especially during such an exciting era for the genre. So he said it's went old school. Is that the reason why he gave it a bad score? I don't know. I'm not going to read his full review. Yeah, I'm hoping it's went old school. You don't want these modern technology found footage style horror movies with Z-list actors. Is that what you want, Philip? I'm not too sure that's what we want. Again, I would read his full review, so I can't really knock him fully, but he's gave it 1 out of 5. There's hardly any movies out there that have got a production like Halloween Kills that would merit a 1 out of 5. So I think he's over exaggerating, and as a top critic for Time Out, he shouldn't do that. Next up we've got Ben Rolfe discussing film. He gave it 4 out of 5. He said Halloween Kills takes the slash and slasher up to 1,000 and it's all the better for it. Again, that's someone who probably knows the Halloween franchise and gave it a good score. Now, I'm not knocking the rotten scores for no reason because I'm a massive Halloween fan or anything, because I've not seen the movie yet, but at least give a better reason as to why. And if you're going to give silly reasons like you do, even in your little tiny blip, then you've got to justify that. Next up we've got Robbie Collin from the Daily Telegraph. This is the UK, from where I am. He's a top critic. He's gave it 2 out of 5. He said Halloween Kills certainly feels like more Halloween, but the game board is left exactly as it was found in the readiness for round 13. The only thing that advances is the body count. Is that a bad thing? It sounds like a good review there, Robbie, but you've gave it 2 out of 5 with a rotten score. Obviously you must go more into it, but if it feels just like Halloween, which is one of the greatest horror movies of all time, and the only thing that advances is the body count, I mean, it's called Halloween Kills. Again, you need to understand the franchise. Wendy Ide from Screen International, she said, competent and generally pretty entertaining. Can't really go much on that, but she gave it a good score. Ben Crow from IndieWire, top critic, he gave it a C+. He said, an almost elemental slasher outing unclouded by conscience, remorse, or delusions of morality. So it sounds like he's saying that a horror movie is trying to be deeper than it is, it seems, and that's not a bad thing unless you're giving it too much. Again, that's a fair assessment of a bad score, so I can't really knock him for that. David Rooney, Hollywood Reporter, top critic, he's not even gave it a score. He said the latest instalment is a latex ghoul mask so stretched and shapeless it no longer fits. So he's looking at it as like the 12th movie in the franchise, and it's not, it's a third movie in the franchise. So again, David, you're going to have to investigate your movies before you watch them. Owen Gleberman from Variety, top critic, he said it's a mess. A slasher movie that's almost never scary, slathered with topical pablum, and with too many parallel plot strands that don't go anywhere. Well, again, I've not seen it, but maybe some of these plot strands will be answered in Halloween Ends. I'm not too sure. He's saying it's a mess. I mean, that's a bold statement for a movie that's not got like a 1 score. So I don't know. Jonathan Romney from The Guardian, top critic, he said 40 years after John Carpenter made the defining slasher movie, director David Gordon Green has made a credible stab, as it were, at reanimating the title. Again, that's a good score, 3 out of 5 he gave it, and that's decent. Asher Liberto from The Wrap, top critic, for all the deep and troubling psychoanalysis of this film, it's also a textbook Halloween movie. Good. Textbook. He's given it a good score, and that's a good reason to give it a good score. So he's given it a good score for being a typical textbook Halloween movie, but then somebody else has given it a bad score for being a typical Halloween movie, so you can't really win. You know, directors, David Gordon Green, he can't win either way. Some people are going to like something that he does, and then some people are going to mark it down for that exact reason, so you can't win. Adam Solomons from Hey You Guys, good name, he's gave it a 3 out of 5. He's wrote, David Gordon Green's latest entry to the iconic franchise is fittingly scary and absurd. And I heard the word absurd get used before as well, not just on Rotten Tomatoes. Absurd in a good way, because some people are saying it's so absurd, it's totally off its rocker, it's crazy, and that's a good thing as well. So yeah, as you can see guys, it's half and half at the moment from these critics specifically on Rotten Tomatoes. I read some of the reviews from the critics at the Venice Film Festival, and most of them liked the movie. They thought it was excellent, but again, people from Venice, I don't know how much they know about the Halloween franchise, and I'm not saying you have to know about the Halloween franchise to like this movie, because a movie should be made by David Gordon Green in the mind that you don't have to be a Halloween nutcase to be able to like the movie. You have to come in from all different genres, sit down and watch it and like it. Unfortunately, some people are just not going to like the movie, that's as simple as that. I'm not a huge fan of The Godfather. I don't even think it's great, to be honest, but if I were to review The Godfather as a professional critique, I would have to watch it as it is, take my personal feelings aside, and critique the movie for what it is. And it is a masterpiece, an absolute full-blown masterpiece, and I would rate that A+++++. Just because I'm not a fan of that genre doesn't mean I would give it a C. You know, so some of these critics shouldn't really be critics, which is quite sad because they're certified Rotten Tomatoes critics, but you're not a critic on Rotten Tomatoes because you're good. You're only a critic on Rotten Tomatoes because you're popular. Anyway guys, this was a lengthy video. I did say that I would go into the more critics side of things for Halloween Kills, and I did do that. I'm hoping and I'm sure the score will rise. Whether it rises or not, I will leave another video later on about it as well, just to tell you how it's going. So what do you guys think of the early score so far? As always, leave your comments down below. And another question I have for you is, should we listen to the critics before we go and see a movie, or do we just brush it off and make up our own minds? Anyway guys, thanks a lot for watching again, thanks for subscribing, I'll see you soon, bye bye.